Now I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, wow, you're beautiful, Sue.
All I have to do is take off my glasses when I look in the mirror and my wrinkles disappear.
Going through menopause can be awesome.
Like a little baby. Take care of me, feed me, hold me. What am I getting out of it?
By the end of this episode, you will stop asking, what's wrong with me? And instead ask, what am I becoming?
Welcome to Marriage IQ, the podcast helping you become an intelligent spouse.
I'm Heidi Hastings.
And I'm Scott Hastings.
Menopause can feel destabilizing physically, emotionally, and relationally. But what if this stage isn't about decline, but it's actually redesign?
You mean like puberty 2.0?
Yeah. Today we're here talking about women's menopausal hormone changes, midlife identity shifts, how transitions at this stage can impact marriages, and the shift from seeing midlife as a crisis to experiencing it as total recalibration.
And if you are a man and think this episode is not for you, we challenge you to stay and learn about what your wife is going through and how you can best help her thrive in this new stage of life.
To help us dive deep into this topic, we've invited Dr. Sue McCreadie to join us. Dr. Sue is a doctor, a wife, a mama, a midlife woman walking the wild, radiant path of becoming who she truly is. And she's doing it while she's finding joy in the journey and helping other women to do the same. So welcome, Dr. Sue.
Yes. Thank you.
Dr. Sue, why do so many capable and accomplished women, when they hit midlife, usually between their 40s to their 60s, suddenly feel like everything's unraveling?
I think Scott hit on it, but it's like puberty 2.0, right? I always compare it. So people who aren't even yet in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, we've all at this point, who is ever listening, has gone through adolescence. And adolescence to me is like so much transition hormonally, right? And when I ask most people, how did adolescence feel? Like for me, it felt stretchy. I felt uncomfortable in my body. I wasn't really sure about my identity. My relationships were changing, right? From platonic friendships to all of a sudden now there's sexual identity, right? So there's so many things changing. I feel midlife is the exact same way. I was just one of my one-on-one coaching sessions, the woman's, this is a really strange place to be. That's just what it feels like.
You can't really see it from the outside like you can as a teenager. You don't get pimples again and stuff.
But you do get a waistline that expands.
Wait a minute. Yeah, you totally see it from the outside. I'm like, what is this? I look down my arms. They're like, here's the muscle. It's like a little soft layer.
I guess you'd call it a new bloom, right? Your face
bloom or bloom.
So radiant. That's
yes,
the bloom
radiant.
that I'm talking about.
Radiant might be good, but when we look in the mirror,
I love that word, radiant.
We don't see who we think we are quite often.
I think we grow into it, Heidi. I don't know how it feels for you, but at first I was like, and now I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, wow, you're beautiful, Sue. I really can shift into it. It's taken me a while. I feel like I've grown into this space. I didn't just arrive here. And that's what I help women do a lot is just less expectation. The less I expect and the more I accept.
That's good. I heard one lady say a couple of days ago, I found all I have to do is take off my glasses when I look in the mirror and my wrinkles disappear.
Yeah. So cutting down on expectations and increasing acceptance, right? That's what you're saying. I like that.
That is a big deal. So you also talked about identity. And certainly when we're teenagers, oh my gosh, the identity shifts are so intense. Can you tell me a little bit about what you see?
One of the biggest ones for women during this age, if they have children, is when the children leave the home. Who am I if I'm not a mom? Tracking these children and taking them here and there. And what use am I of now? Right? Especially if you've devoted your entire self or most of your entire self to raising kids. So that's a big one that I feel. I just heard it from another woman recently. She's like, I feel kind of lonely.
Yeah.
I feel lonely. My kids don't really need me anymore. And so I think that's a big identity shift. Who am I? You'll always be a mom, once a mom, forever a mom, right? But the roles change. Obviously, we want them to become more independent. And as their independence increases, the boundaries shift. And so you're left with who am I now, in addition to being a mother, right? That's probably one of the biggest ones that I see.
Telling your kids what to do at that stage when they're out of the house probably doesn't go very well. They are increasing in independence. So does that shift to now I get to tell him what to do? Now I get to control him?
That's when women like to say, I'm coaching my husband, or actually, I remind women that they feel like you're trying to control them. Coaching feels like controlling.
Probably not.
I'm just thinking, I don't look at children like my wife does. And I think this is probably normal, like for most guys. I don't think I'm speaking out of line here. When the shift, when they're out of the house, I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Already starting.
And I mean, but it's not that I don't love my children. I think I speak for a lot of men here.
I think you do too.
It's time to fly, little birdie.
That's what my husband reminds me. My husband reminds me, they're okay, because I do call them birdies. I'm like, is this little birdie okay? Is this little birdie okay? Is this little birdie okay? My husband's like, me. Look at me. Focus on me. We're here together. And I know it's just like a natural instinct.
A lot of my friends, I would say, experience deep grief when their children left home. And for our last two, I was in grad school. So that did help me make that transition a little bit easier than some of my friends. But yeah, it can be really hard.
I'm only giggling, Heidi, because as soon as you said that, I thought of me and my husband sobbing on our bed. We went through this sad moment when the middle left for college, right? And the funny part is she's literally down the street. But it's a transition. It's like she's not living in the house anymore, right? And it's temporary. We regrouped and we found our new groove with our youngest home alone. But yeah, I just think it's funny. It's a grief, it's a loss, it's a shift, it's a change. So that's probably one of the biggest identity shifts. There's also other identity shifts, right? I work with a lot of professionals. If I'm not a chiropractor, like, who am I? If I'm not a medical doctor, who am I? Right? So as people start to retire from their first career and maybe not have a second career, or maybe start their passion project, it's a lot to let go of. It's a lot to say goodbye to.
I'm guessing that men in that same stage have identity crises, identity shifts.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit bigger for men, generally speaking, but maybe not. I mean, I'm still working my primary career and doing this passion project, and it takes up all of my free time.
Well, and for me, after finishing 6 years of grad school, when the kids were gone, I went through an identity crisis just making that shift, because that was so much a big part of my identity.
Well, I remember that you were just studying all the time and there were no kids in the house. And I was depressed for a little bit. And then I snapped out of it.
We came up with some good plans and fun things to do together.
We became intentional about our lives.
Yeah, I was going to say you were depressed because this was a time for you two to be together. And meanwhile, Heidi's hitting the books. I've heard that sentiment over here as well. And I think it's true. I think it's like coming up with a strategy of like, how do you still feel connected? Because that's one thing I have been clear about, is that some people, when they retire, they get their dopamine hit from like hitting a golf ball. I get mine from helping people. I will forever be helping people because that's what makes me thrive. That's what gets me going. That's what lights me up, right? So that's something too that my husband's not yet retired. But he does think about that. Wait a minute, I'm going to retire. And then you're still over here helping people. Like, that's all great. And I want you to continue doing that. And also, I worked my entire career to create this together. So I think that's so true. It's like becoming very intentional and having boundaries around things.
Those sound like some important conversations to have several years before you actually retire, right? Yeah. Let's shift from there just a minute to how all of these hormonal shifts and midlife transitions, all of the things with this time of life can impact marriage. Obviously, if your mood is swinging and you're not sleeping at night and you're having night sweats and hot flashes, that doesn't make for a happy person a lot of times.
Don't forget the vaginal dryness, my love.
Maybe a better question is, how can husbands support their spouses during this really difficult time that as women we don't ask for, because they might just think that their wives are going crazy. And as women, we might think that ourselves.
Well, I think of it as human supporting human, regardless of whatever season or transition or whatever we're dealing with, right? We all share 6 human needs, which I learned from Tony Robbins. The need for certainty, that we're going to feel more comfort and in control, like more pleasure than pain in life. But if everything is certain and everything's control, well, then we get bored. So we also have a need for variety, which is the spice of life. We have a need for significance, to be seen and heard and feel needed. We have a need for love and connection. We also have a need for growth and contribution. Those last two are the needs of the spirit. So we all share these needs, but we prioritize them differently. And how you prioritize your needs is really going to determine the trajectory of your life. Someone who prioritizes growth versus someone who prioritizes certainty is going to have very different lives, right? So a lot of what I teach women is the 6 human needs. And if you had to guess, what do you think your top 2 needs would be? Because we all fill our needs in different ways.
I love it. We're looking at ourselves. We're going, okay, what's important to me? And with you asking them, it forces them into that moment with themselves. Like, what is important to me? And sometimes it's, I don't even know. And so what you're doing, Sue, is you're confronting their needs or values, whatever it is, so that they can verbalize it to you and say, oh yeah, that's what it is, which matches a lot of women.
So we share these needs, we prioritize them differently, and we also fill them differently. We have different vehicles to meet these needs. Everything we do is based on filling one of these needs. I only work with women. I don't work with couples, but we work with one side of the relationship. It changes the relationship. I ask them, what do you think are your top 2 needs? And what do you think are the top 2 needs of your spouse? The big ones are always love and connection. Most of the women, they'll put love and connection number 1. They'll put certainty number 2.
They want safety, security.
Right.
They want to be loved and connected.
But after a couple of years postmenopausal, I'm finding I'm tired of certainty and I want to have fun now. Do those needs shift?
Yes. So you absolutely can shift. And that's a lot of what I talk to women about. I say, okay, how is that certainty working for you right now? Because usually that certainty is keeping them stuck, especially if they put certainty above love and connection. We live in a very uncertain world. And so we're always grappling for this certainty outside of ourselves. I say the ultimate replacement for certainty is faith. That is ultimate certainty. And if you have faith, that can be the bedrock. So all these other needs are on top of it and you're on the bedrock of faith. I ask, what do you think your husband's or your spouse's or your partner's top 2 needs are?
I would venture to bet that they don't know. Now, that sounds crazy, especially if you've been married for 30 years. They assume they know. And they sit down together and have a couples council and ask these important questions. They find, oh, wait, maybe this isn't what I thought. Well, I mean, those who are really in tune with each other and are intentional with each other would likely. But we're learning that a lot of couples don't do this intentional thing very much, which is why we're trying to teach people how to do it. But it would be fantastic to formalize it with each other.
Mm-hmm. So, Sue, again, you said most women think that their husband's needs are love and connection first. And then the second thing you said was significance.
Who wouldn't want to feel significant, right? But I think that there might be some, just some assuming going on. And I don't know what you run into, Sue, with that.
I agree. I think there are assumptions, and that's why you get to have a connected conversation and ask as well. I learned a lot when I had this conversation with my husband. His is love and connection. And then he was like, certainty or contribution. And the thing is, you really need to look at your life. What is it that you're doing day in and day out that validates that those are your top 2 needs, right? You want to actually really not project what you want it to be, because there is no right or wrong. There's no best or worse. It's just neutral. It's like, okay, my top need are love and connection. And when I first came into this whole thing, my top 2 needs were love and connection and significance. Now those are conflicting needs. They move away from each other. Love and connection, we connect through vulnerability. We connect through sameness, right? Significance is like, see me, hear me, I'm different, right? So it's something to play with. There's no right or wrong need. But when I came into this whole needs thing, I was like, oh, that's why I feel pretty not happy every day, because I've got two conflicting needs up here. So I was like, what if I move up growth? I love growth. I love personal development. So I moved down significance and I moved up growth. And that's where I was for probably the past 6 years. And then I thought, this growth is exhausting me right now. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. I feel like I'm always chasing for the next thing. What if I move up contribution? That feels like an exhale. That feels like, as long as I show up and I'm loving, I'm connected, I'm contributing to the person that's in front of me, I win. I'm like, I want that life.
Do most women in this stage have a lot of confidence?
I think as confidence is another thing that women are really seeking. And by the way, I think they project that on me. They think I have a lot of confidence. Like, you look like a confident woman. Look at you. And I think all of us internally through this shifting time, that's something that I want to embody, right? And also it can get rattled. It can get shaked when our identity is shaked, when our body changes and we don't feel like how we normally feel. I want to hit on these top two needs. The whole goal, if I want to be in a relationship with you, because there's 3 levels of love, which I've also learned from Tony Robbins. I think these are just amazing frameworks. Yeah. Level 1 is selfish love. It's baby love. It's me, 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 like a little baby. Take care of me, feed me, hold me. You go into the relationship for me. What am I getting out of it? Me, right? That's level 1 love. Level 2 love is where a lot of relationships live. And that is conditional love. It's barter love. It's like, well, I'll do this. What are you going to do for me? I'm going to take out the trash. You go change the diapers.
Yep.
There's just a lot of transactional love happening. It's very conditional. I give these all different names than what Tony gives, but it makes sense to me. Unconditional or conscious love is, my needs are your needs. What are your needs? I need to know what your needs are, and I need to meet them. I get to meet them at a high level if I want to be in a relationship with you. And by the way, if I meet all of your 6 needs at a very high level, what are the chances that you're ever going to leave this marriage?
Probably not very much.
Not high, right? And so that's really my goal in a relationship. And so if we're meeting each other's top 2 needs inside the marriage, we're attracting towards each other. We're building the relationship in the couple. If we're not, we need at least one of our top 2 needs to match up. They need to be similar, right? They need to be the same. But if the other needs, I'm not getting this inside the marriage, that's where we start drifting. Yeah. And I can even say it happened for me in terms of growth. Like, I had a high need for growth, so I went outside the marriage to seek for growth and growing here in this personal development program and that personal development program and this personal development. And how do you think that worked out? Do you think we got to do some rearranging, right? And some heartfelt conversations?
You're growing and your husband doesn't have the need for that as much. And so you're kind of disconnected. Is that what you're saying?
I think it can lead to serious disconnection, even when you deeply love each other. It's like what Scott was speaking into, where all of a sudden you're growing and studying 6 hours a day, and Scott's like
18 hours a day.
over here. Yeah. And I think it requires a reshift if you want to continue growing inside the marriage. That's really what I learned. And it's incredible when you're committed to growth and honest communication and meeting each other's needs. And that has helped me more than anything in how to talk about this topic, is thinking about the other person's needs.
So how do you switch then from that second level to the third level?
Okay. So this is another framework. Have you read the book Love's Journey by Michael Garian? The framework that I love from it is that there's seasons, right? There's spring, there's summer, there's fall, there's winter. And so spring is what we all love about love. It's like rainbows and unicorns. We fall in love. But within that spring season, a betrayal happens. Some secret is told, something that you thought, and then we go into power struggle. And power struggle actually is not a problem if you learn how to do it well. It's how we establish boundaries, where I end and where you begin, right? Okay, summer is when the heat comes on. This is when you're going through conflicts and you're figuring out, how do I be my whole self and not get lost in this relationship. And when big trials happen, how do we move through this as a couple? How do we move this power struggle? And we're going into ourselves and doing the inner works, what I help women with. And usually at this summer stage, we're stepping on people's feet. And then we're like, oh, I just crossed a boundary. Oh, and then you learn, you readjust. And what I help women do is move through summer to get to fall. Okay. So a lot of relationships are stuck in either spring or summer. Moving into fall is like the tango. It is like the radiant partnership. It's where I'm guessing you and Scott are. It's where me and my husband are. It's where our relationship radiates out and shines. And what you're showing people is that you're human, but you're maintaining not only deep love, but you're also passionate. It takes intention. It takes concentrated effort to say, I need more touch. I've heard that as well. So we learn how to do that tango, and one leads sometimes and one follows, and then it shifts. And it's a very like just beautiful, radiant partnership. Winter is what my mom and dad, and my dad just passed, but what they're going through, which is you actually begin to separate again because you're about to live physical form and the other person's going to live without you here, right? So there's a period of internal withdrawal and separation. So then you become one with spirit again. But these 4 seasons, which is really fun, I have a quiz for that, like which season is your love story? And so people can identify and figure out, because many people think that power struggle means their marriage is failing or their partnership is failing or the relationship is failing. And that's not necessarily what it means.
You just need to communicate a little bit more effectively
and look at what isn't working and figure out how to change it. Just because something isn't working doesn't mean that everything is doomed. It means you take a look at things. If you need help from a therapist or a coach, get that and keep having those conversations, keep adjusting things and try again.
I'm sitting here thinking, what if our marriage went through all 4 seasons like cyclically?
Every year?
I don't know, like not every year, but I mean,
tough.
Could I go back to spring? I sure love spring.
I love spring too. So that was another thing. Thank you for touching on that. It's not like you just do this one thing and then you go, it's like you can get to fall and then something will send you back to spring. Maybe a fun getaway trip where you rekindle the romance and it's just you.
I love the fall the best. That's number 1, numero uno. But I do love spring.
I loved that. And I would also say other things that can throw you back, like an event or something around that can throw them back to power struggle.
Both my parents passed away recently as well. And I would say we were in the tango and it definitely threw us back into that summer. I guess
I don't know.
What
It was
where the heat is on.
Yeah, it was really rough. We never dealt with death before.
So we did an episode on grief and how that impacts your marriage. But I think that is very certainly in this demographic that we're talking about, 40s to 60s, something that most people in this age range eventually deal with.
I agree. It was new territory for our partnership as well. And it takes a lot of time, effort. And I'm the doctor, so I'm the leader in our family in this arena. And it was exhausting. It was time consuming. It was all the things. And in that time where, again, like I just feel Scott, is it's like, I just want you, babe. I just want to be with you when it's us time. And yeah, you're feeling not only the pull of the kids, but also the pull of the parents and navigating that whole situation. So it was definitely and continues to be. My mom's still here. It's a thing that we all get to deal with. I would definitely say that it's through these trials that trust is solidified even more. That's been my experience. It's like, what does your partner do when I got hit with such a huge wave of grief? And I just wasn't expecting that because I'd been on the death march for so long.
Oh, wow.
Had multiple miscarriages. I felt like I knew what that would feel like. And still, I just got hit with a tsunami. And I was laying out flat on the bed, just processing all the feels. And there was my partner sitting right there, just hand on me. And I still get emotional just thinking about it. Just steady Eddie, meeting my need for love and connection. needing my need for certainty, because that's what we need most when we're going through major uncertain times is certainty. And I was like, how that further concretes the trust in a relationship when you're going through those trials together.
So this question is for both you and Scott, both medical doctors. What actually is happening hormonally in women during perimenopause and menopause?
I approach it like this. There's this kind of ambivalence hormonally in your body to go along with all the other ambivalence, emotionally and psychologically. That's estrogen petering out a little bit. And you notice, oh, I have night sweats. I have hot flashes. And it's a little bit harder to
Mood
sleep.
swings? Oh, sleep is my big one.
And you may find that you don't feel as youthful as you did. And that's just that natural course of estrogen reducing. The other thing is osteoporosis. As you begin to lose estrogen, your bones become less dense. And then you can increase that risk for fractures. Another thing, too, that they may experience is a lack of sex drive or libido. And that can be bothersome to a lot of women. And so we put them on a little bit of hormones, and that can really help some of these symptoms. It's not going to reverse the course of aging, but in postmenopausal women, that small amount of testosterone, progesterone, estrogen can be helpful in a lot of ways.
Years ago, I interviewed a holistic gynecologist, and she explained it as a 2-engine plane, where each engine is your ovaries. She's like, what you do for your lifetime to support your plane and those engines, meaning your diet, your lifestyle, will really show you how you go through menopause. For women who haven't had a diet and lifestyle that's been supportive, they tend to feel like they're just dropping out of the sky because the estrogen just fall off a cliff, right? She said the goal is, and she's big on hormonal replacement therapy, HRT, is that you want to coast the plane. What does estrogen affect as it declines? Everything. It can affect everything. And you hear those women, it's like, oh, I went through menopause. I didn't feel anything. I was like, wow, you are genetically set up for that, or you obviously prepared very well for that process.
I'm curious about, you said diet and exercise help with this.
Especially if your genetics support that, right? So there's definitely genetics that don't do well with sugars. That would be my genetics.
Yeah.
The more sugar I reduce, the happier my body is. So some of us just don't have great genetics to normalize blood sugar in our system. So yeah, I think optimizing your diet for your genetics based on what your genetics are. Some people do really well with high fat and high protein. Other people do well with really complex carbs. I would say all of us do better with less processed sugar, certainly, but some of our genetics are better at dealing with that havoc than others. It's not only hormones. You can't just look at HRT and be like, you're my savior, going to fix everything. And it's not always just tweaking that. It's also looking for supplements and other nutrition. So I was joking with my teenage daughters, like, mom's on shrooms now. Not the hallucinogenic shrimp. Medicinal mushrooms are so good. These fungi are really great at supporting sleep. And they're really great for supporting menopause. Like, how else can I support this system? It's like whatever it takes to keep this body balanced.
So you talk about soulful medicine as a way to not only experience and understand the things that are happening to us biologically and relationally, but then also individually. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
One way is to think of soulful medicine just as the things that you love, that fill up your soul, that fill up your spirit, right? I also think of soulful medicine as things that sculpt your soul. So what I was just speaking about, like death or loss or grief, like those are really painful, and yet they're really sculpting your soul to create more growth and to create more empathy and to better be able to contribute to people's lives because you've gone through that. That's all soulful medicine. I also think of soulful medicine as an entity in itself, as a way of like a collective medicine that we all experience when we come together, especially as women. That's what I love. I love bringing women together in membership, and just the container itself. It's like women love connection. We're wired for connection. Like, I can't go anywhere without connecting. My husband is just like, oh my gosh, can we just get through Costco? Like, don't do it. Like, you can see it coming. It's like, don't do it.
I had a women's conference I went to this weekend, and I thought I told Scott how long I was going to be, but I was on maybe 6 hours.
6 hours.
He thought, I think maybe I'd be gone, what, 2? It was great.
I don't know why possibly on Earth would ever thought you'd be gone for 2 hours. You and a bunch of women.
So yes, you're right. There is huge value in meeting together as women, especially during a time of life that sometimes we tend to isolate because we don't have the connection with kids. We don't have the connection with other things that we once did.
And that's the soulful medicine sometimes, is just to bear witness. We don't have to say anything. It's just about expressing yourself and knowing that you're not alone in this, because shame likes to hide out. So you say the shameful thing, or you say the thing that you think is disgusting or gross or bad on you, right? And you just bare your soul. And also we have a lot of fun. We just laugh. Like I always say, healing can be fun. Just laugh at this fascinating behavior. Because one of the things I think is really important is it's not you, it's a pattern. These are patterns. And you get to disrupt the pattern, change the pattern, shift the pattern. If you don't like the pattern, you'll get different results, right? So I think those are things too, is just like normalizing. This is human experience.
When you're talking about sculpting, I kind of want to get back to that a little bit. I think life sculpts all of us, but not all of us thrive from that.
Right.
I think we have to learn how to create meaning from the bad things that happen to us in our lives. And I agree with you to the point where if I can create meaning out of this terrible thing that's happened, and I look at it as a sculpture, like, oh, I'm being sculpted, then I can grow. But if I don't, and I've seen a fair amount of people, including myself at some points, where it was just misery and I didn't find meaning and no growth. And so my goal is to find meaning out of everything in life. And because I want to grow, I want to become.
And what I hear you saying, Sue, is that community helps us do that. Community helps us make meaning of things that we're facing that seem so heavy.
1,000%. It is. Yeah, it is medicine. Community is medicine.
I love that.
So going through menopause can be actually awesome.
And those life transitions.
Because there's some research out there. The best sex is in your
50s.
40s and 50s and
50s.
60s. Kids are out of the house. You don't have to worry about getting pregnant. Right?
That is one good part about it.
Kind of let loose.
As long as you have lube.
Swinging from the chandeliers.
And I would say, especially if you're accepting yourself, especially if you're accepting where you are as your body is physiologically shifting. I think that's been a big part of really looking at myself, looking at my changing body, and really seeing like, wow, Sue, you are beautiful.
So Sue, you are.
I believe every woman I meet is so beautiful and radiant, truly. However, here's one of the things that have also really helped me during menopause, because what is beauty? What is radiance? And how about the contrast between Kate Hudson is the daughter, Goldie Hawn is the mother. Kate Hudson's ripped. She'd be walking in that bathing suit and just letting it fly, right? And who am I attracted to? Goldie Hawn. She is radiant. She is beaming. And you know what I remind myself of? She has life experience, and yeah, she's just smiling. She's happy. She's not like perfect, right? She is just owning it. Like all the bumps, all the bruises, all of it. And that's a big visual that I keep in my head to remind myself, because you know what? I'm human and I want ripped. I want perfect. And I know that's silly, but it's human. And that's society. That's what we're surrounded by. Right. And then I'm like, Sue, don't forget Goldie Hawn. She's radiant. She's beautiful.
Goldie Hawn can become our icon in this stage of life. This has been so wonderful. Can you leave us with whatever parting words maybe we haven't touched on that women in this stage and their partners need to hear?
I would say one of the cornerstones that I like to go back to, because women often blurt out the thing, right? And then they say, Dr. Sue, what should I do? And then now they know because they've been trained. So they back up. They're like, don't say it. And this is what I say. What would love do?
Okay.
What would love do? Because inherently, we are love. That is our natural state. That's when we feel radiant. That's when we feel joyful. That's when we feel at peace, is when we're in a loving state. And that's why resentment and frustration and anger and all these things, they're beautiful emotions too, but we don't like to hang out there too long. And so getting back to like, what would love do? Even if you put your hand on your heart, what would love do? You remember, you instantly remember. Sometimes love would smile. Sometimes love would have the challenging conversation. Sometimes love would go take a nap, take a break, take a breather, right? So it really helps. And the women have shared that with me. Like they just remember what would love. And by the way, that's what we do in our house too. Like when the girls have a challenging social situation and they're like, what should I do, mom? I'm like, what would love do? Because they know, they already know as soon as I ask that.
That it's simple to remember. 4 little words guiding your life.
I love it.
Sometimes it's forgiving. Sometimes it's saying, I'm sorry.
Sometimes it's holding a sacred boundary. This is not okay with me. That's not okay. Sometimes love would hold the boundary.
Love for the important people in your life. Love for our neighbors.
Yes.
Journey walkers. Where can people find you? You've just been so delightful. And there may be some of our listeners who are like, I've got to learn more about what she's doing.
Come visit me. My website is drsuemccreadie.com. And yeah, there's fun quizzes to take, including that love story quiz. It's super fun and free, and you can figure out what stage is your love story in, what chapter.
Dr. Sue McCreadie.
With an IE on McCreadie, right? McCreadie.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and sharing several frameworks that have been so helpful in looking at this crazy stage of life that actually might not be so crazy after all.
It's wonderful.
Got me excited to be in it.
Thank you for joining us today on Marriage IQ. Remember that to change from a stinky to a scintillating marriage first requires a change in ourselves. And we'll see you on another exciting episode of
Marriage IQ.